Hello and good morning. Happy Growth and Grace Day, everyone, and Happy New Year, Happy New Decade, as you've been hearing probably relentlessly for the last 48 hours. I was hanging out with a girlfriend the other night, and she was like, how many of your friends have been saying, okay, see you next year, when they're going to really see you tomorrow, but they're being clever about it? She was like rolling her eyes. But that's what we get around the new year. Everyone starts getting extra clever as they lead into the new season, a fresh new start. And one of the things that has been coming up for me lately I had this light bulb moment this week, and I thought, okay, this is what I want to share on this week's Growth and Grace, was the difference between planners and people who tend to be more spontaneous. And the reason I wanted to share this is because I just realized why for so many years I was locked in. I was dead set on being a planner. Like, I could not wrap my head around being spontaneous. I couldn't understand how in the world are people just able to go out and do things. And the light bulb moment that I wanted to share with you, because it actually helped me realize, oh my gosh, that's why I did so many things the way that I did them. So I'm going to give you some insights into the planner mind, because I do tend to lean a little bit more on that side. If you had known me 5 years ago, you would have said she's only a planner. She doesn't know how to be spontaneous. And so I have been intentional about teaching myself how to be spontaneous, because I didn't want to keep being trapped with just only doing things that I had planned like weeks in advance. I wanted to be able to do last minute things that sounded fun. And so I had to teach myself how to do that. So I'll show you, I'll give you some tips on what I did to help myself do that. And I'm going to give you the insight that was like the huge light bulb moment for me. The reason why, and this might help you understand some of your friends. If you have people in mind right now and you're like, they're such planners, oh my gosh, maybe this is them. This is why, for me, why I had to have everything planned like weeks in advance. It was because I was so emotionally drained, and I had to emotionally and mentally prepare before I headed into any sort of social interaction. You guys, if you've listened to my Facebook Live from maybe a couple months ago now, it was talking about the social anxiety that I used to live with, and how I used to get nauseous before I left my house because I was so nervous to talk to people, and I didn't know what to say, and I didn't want to be fake and surfacey, but I also didn't want to get real and raw about my life. And what are you supposed to do if you don't want to be real, but you don't want to be fake? You decide that you don't want to leave your house. And so that really built up within me without me noticing, without me being conscious of it. That really had me start getting super nervous anytime I was going to leave my house, and anytime that I was going to go be in a social situation, which for the most part is anytime you leave your house, you're going to somehow interact with people, whether it's you passing them on a walk with your dog, whether it's going to the grocery store, or whether it's going to an actual social gathering where there's people that you talk to. And because I was so emotionally drained, I did not feel like I had the capacity to show up to a social situation without having the time to emotionally and mentally prep for that situation, for that social engagement. And there wasn't a way for me in my mind at the time to have that emotional preparedness happen in a short amount of time. That's why I felt like I needed weeks of planning time, and why I was not letting myself move anything in my calendar. I wouldn't do any last minute plans because I had to emotionally prep for it. So maybe that gave you some insights into your planner friends. And that might not be everyone's reason, but that was a huge light bulb moment for me. So if you're a planner, maybe think about that. Is there a subconscious desire to feel like you're emotionally and mentally prepared for things ahead of time, and you're taking that planning time, that lead time, to actually prep for whatever that, plan is. And there are some logistical benefits to planning ahead of time. Sometimes airplane tickets are cheaper, and you can block your calendar out so you're not double booking yourself, and you know that you have things that you're looking forward to, so you can plan them weeks in advance. One of my girlfriends just invited me to a concert in June. It's January, and I now have a concert booked in June, and I'm already looking forward to it. So there's benefits to planning. And let me tell you, once I started being spontaneous, there are huge benefits to being spontaneous and not having everything planned ahead of time. So here's what I did. Because I know there's some of you watching who are like planners. You're going, okay, I like the idea of being spontaneous, yeah. But like, how do you actually do it? Because that's not really something that I can do because I'm a planner, right? We get locked into our identities and we get locked into those like tiny little labels that then turn out to be these really big heavy labels that we carry with us, and we don't need to. So great if you have a tendency to plan, but you don't have to only define yourself as a planner. You are other things. That's not who you are. That's just one of your beneficial personality traits, that you happen to plan things. Spontaneous people who tend to just go with the flow and decide last minute what they want to do, they're really fun to be around. And the way that I helped myself become more spontaneous, because it was very intentional, it did not just happen, and it did not just happen overnight. It's taken a while. But the way that what really worked for me was getting myself around spontaneous people, and then simply bringing awareness to the fact that I wanted to become more spontaneous. So whenever an opportunity came my way that felt spontaneous for me, so for me, sometimes the spontaneous was like a few days away, and I was like, it kind of flustered me in the moment because I was used to planning things weeks in advance. But because I was aware of it, and because I was choosing to want to incorporate more spontaneity in my life, in those moments when those opportunities arose, I would simply think to myself and say, do I want to do this thing? Do I want to go spend time with those people? Do I want to have that adventure? Do I want to take advantage of this opportunity? Whatever it may be. And I would decide. Most of the time, I genuinely wanted to do the thing. And I started realizing all the things that I had been missing out on because I was saying no, because I was so steadfast, rigid, and like so committed to being a quote-unquote planner and not being spontaneous. And once I started realizing what I was missing out on, there was no way that I was going to keep missing out on all those fun things. So it just became a conscious choice to before I just knee-jerk reaction, trigger response said, no, I can't do that. No, that's not going to work. I would think, and then I would actually make a conscious decision. Yeah, you know what? I really do want to do that. Let me see what I can move around in my calendar. And more often than not, what I was moving around was I knew that I was going to be home with my pets playing solitaire, and I had emotionally prepped for that, right? And I have some breathing room, some downtime, time to kind of replenish. And I knew that I could move that around, shift that around, maybe shorten the time frame that I was going to do it so that I could still go enjoy whatever the new plans were that were spontaneous. So for me, spontaneity looked a little bit planned. I'm not going to lie. It started out as sort of you know what, I'm going to leave some room in my calendar for Wednesday evening, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing, but if an opportunity comes up last minute, I can take it because I have the time set aside to be spontaneous. So do what works for you. If you're a planner, you can start planning time to be spontaneous, and you can always say no still. So don't feel like you're all of a sudden flip of a switch, have to start living your life completely differently. You super do not. Just let yourself start to shift. Let yourself start to explore what it could look like. And people who are spontaneous, start recognizing in your planner friends that there's a reason that they like to plan. Don't give them a hard time. Just start recognizing, and maybe start helping, offering some helpful suggestions on what could it look like. What if you just rearrange things a little bit? What if you kind of tweaked your schedule a little bit? What if we just started with, let's plan on getting together Wednesday evening, but let's not know exactly what we're doing until Wednesday evening. Help them. Don't just expect them to change in a minute. So that right there, those are my insights. That's what I wanted to share. Just a few little like light bulb moments and some quick tips that you can take and implement to help incorporate spontaneity, because typically I find it's a little more difficult for planners to start being spontaneous than it is for spontaneous people to start planning things. So, and since I came from that spectrum of being more of a planner heading into spontaneity, that's the experience I have to share. So that's what I wanted to speak to today. So I hope that that made a difference for you. I hope that you start incorporating some more spontaneity in your schedule, because it's way more fun. And just know that you are still able to say no if something comes up and it's not going to work or you don't want to do it. You can say no. So don't feel locked into anything. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you next week every Thursday, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern for Growth and Grace. We'll see you then. Bye for now.